Hey, it's the Red Rican. Today's video, I'm going to talk about a couple different things. I'm not going to link to anything like I normally do. Um, I'm just going to talk about a conversation that I was having with a lefty friend of mine, and he was there accusing me of. He's like, "Well, you just sound like you're repeating right-wing talking points, and you're a Republican." And I'm like, "Look, if I was a Republican, I'd say a Republican. I don't care." But Donald Trump was the first Republican I voted for president. Um, Truth be told, if you want to hear my history of voting, what I voted for, my first election was 2000. I voted for Nader. Then after that, I voted for Ron Paul, then Gary Johnson twice, and then Trump. And that's I'm all over the place because I'm from New York. I'm not, even if I was a New York conservative, a New York conservative is like a Texas Democrat. Depending on the part of the country, there's going to be, your policies are going to be moderate in some states, and your policies are going to be far to one side. If you're a California Democrat, or like a Seattle Democrat, I'm gonna assume you're a far lefty. Almost, it's getting sad to say it's getting like that in New York too. But if you're a Democrat from Texas or somewhere there in the Midwest, I'm gonna assume you're probably gonna be a little more moderate. You're not gonna be too left. Which then, if someone like that would run in New York, they're probably not going to run, or California, they're going to end up running as a Republican. You got that guy in New York, New Jersey, excuse me, Drew, I think his name is, who switched because the first impeachment that the Democrats said he had to vote for impeachment, and he refused because he said there was no evidence to impeach him on, and he ended up switching Republican. He still votes Democrat most of the time. There was just this one time he didn't vote. He didn't vote Republican. I mean, he didn't vote with the Democrats, and they basically canceled him out of the party. And that's that's a sad thing. It's like this friend of mine. He was this. Like I said, so he's this that I'm using Republican talking points, and he's, Libertarians tend to agree more with the Republicans just because the fact that Libertarians tend to be more individualistic, and we tend to want to do things. We just worry about the freedoms of individuals, and it's easy. It's easy being a Democrat. I'm going to tell you why it's easy being a Democrat. Because it's easy to say, here's some money. I'm going to give you money for this. I'm going to give you money for that. Because it's not their money they're really working with. It's basically monopoly money they're giving out to buy votes. That's an easy way. It's hard to go to the people and go, look, listen, if we want to improve the economy, or if we want to improve our community, we're going to have to tighten the belt. We're going to have to get rid of the credit card. We're going to have to cut it. Can't use credit. We're going to have to spend within our budget. So like that, we could get out of this debt that's killing our budget. All this money that we're spending on interest to pay our debt is eventually going to catch up to us. We're eventually going to have to declare bankruptcy. If there's no one on either party that has the cojones to say this to people, because, and you know what, to sit here, that was my biggest complaint about Trump. Trump was not a deficit hawk. He was definitely not a reductionist when it came to the deficit. He picked it up. But that's one of the things the Democrats liked about him, was the fact that they could point to him as, oh, look, now, now they're pointing, oh, now the Republicans care about the deficit, but you guys didn't care about it at all. You guys never care about the deficit. Because like I said, it's easy being a Democrat and going, I'm going to, I promise you I'm going to, raise your minimum wage to $15 an hour. And it's like, okay, a company like Amazon, they don't care. Honestly, I worked at Amazon. I remember I was speaking to a lady. She told me before they instituted their $15 minimum wage, she made more money, but she was making less an hour. Now you're gonna look at me, wait, what? Yeah, she was making like $12 an hour before they instituted the $15 minimum wage. But what they would do, they had a bunch of performance bonuses. And so when she was doing these bonuses, she would make more money. But what happened was, when Amazon did the $15 minimum wage, they did away with their performance bonuses. So that's, so it's like, yeah. And that's why Amazon doesn't care, because they got so many, they already pay people $15 an hour. And they did it in a way so they can make more money. They took away those performance bonuses for those people. And so now, of course, they're pushing for the $15 minimum wage, because that's going to close a lot of the smaller businesses, because they can't afford. If you got 2 employees and you're paying them now currently, between 2 of them, you're paying them $20 an hour. They raised the minimum wage to $15. Guess what? You're going to have to let one of them go. And that's what the study showed, that there's going to be more people laid off. Yeah, you may temporarily increase some people out of poverty, but what's going to end up happening is, once that minimum wage gets set, give it a couple of years, everything's going to start to rise. I know they say, oh, well, so-and-so state is $15 an hour, and McDonald's still, charges the same for a burger. Yeah, because McDonald's will charge some stores in some states less, or you also have now you have the self-serve places, and that's how they keep the prices lower. Is because instead of having 30 employees, they got rid of 15 and instituted those self-serve kiosks, and that's what's going on. So it's like, yeah, and then so once those people are above, quote unquote, above the poverty line, what's going to happen is, once they do their $15 minimum wage, and once it's been set for a while, they're going to have to readjust those numbers, and then the poverty line is going to end up going up. So that whole study is saying that they're going to raise, 900,000 people out of poverty. Yeah, for how long? For like that, when the wage catches up with the rest of the economy. So what, in a couple of years? So let's say 2025, they said that number. So what, by 2027, 2028, those 900,000 people that were lifted above poverty are going to go back to it. Because those numbers are going to end up they're going to have to recalculate those poverty numbers. So that, like I said, that's why it's easy to be a Democrat. It's easy for them to go, we're gonna, because they worship government. To them, the government is the solver of all problems. And I think it was Ronald Reagan's quote that is like, the scariest thing to hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And it's like, no, like my friend was saying, oh, well, the Democrats are more for my people. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not for your people. The Democrats and people like the socialists and all that, they want you dependent on the government. They don't want free people. The collectivists don't want free people. They don't want individuals. They want us to be in groups. They want us to depend on the government. They don't want us to rely on ourselves. They don't want us to rely on, let's say, like the church. Because that back in the day used to be like, if you need to borrow money, you ask your family. Then you went to the church. Then you finally maybe went to the bank or some government institution. But they don't want that no more. They want you to go to the government. They want you to with your hand out, because the minute they have you which you hand out to the government, is the minute they just could get you to do whatever they want. Oh, look here, look at those people. And I'm gonna say that there's some people that are so rich that they shouldn't really be that rich. They should, but like I'll give you an example. I had when I lived in Texas, I was friends with this guy, millionaire. Guy's a multi-millionaire, but he didn't live it. He didn't live that. He probably gave at least half the money he made to the church. I don't know that personally. I never asked him. That's not my business. But he lived a good life. He had a huge house, go on vacations. But he worked for that stuff. I'm not going to sit there and say he didn't. But then he gave. He used to go to. He had a project to bring clean water to villages in Africa. And that's the type of rich people we need. You have people like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. They, make these foundations, and then they put strings on these foundations to make them, to do stuff to fit their agenda. So that's not the type of philanthropy we need. We need the rich people to do, to build. You want to do stuff to improve the community that way. Don't make these foundations waste money that way. With these pet projects of yours, vaccines around the world. No, why don't you actually really care about feeding the world instead of these NGOs that really, all they usually do is like power grabs. So, that's how they get us. They get us on, like I said, my friend said that the Democrats are he doesn't like the Democrats, but that they're for his people. No, they're enslaving our people by making us dependent on the government instead of being dependent upon ourselves and God. That's the way it should be. We should be relying on God and ourselves, not on the government. But that's if that's a Republican talking point, then call me a Republican. But at the same time, so why I call myself a Libertarian, because when it comes to the fiscal stuff, I see I see the writing on the wall, and I see how we need to get our fiscal budget in order. And Republicans say that, but honestly, no Republican in my lifetime really, when Bush was president, he raised the deficit. Every president raises the deficit. Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, Clinton says, he balanced the budget. No, he I forget the game that he played where it's like he decreased the deficit, where Obama said they decreased the deficit of, let's say, they had a deficit of $300 million. So they decreased it instead of 300 million, 290. We decreased the deficit. Well, you didn't. You just 10 million. That's nothing. But you could claim it, and that's the problem with the media. Depending on who they like, they'll cover for it. So, and like why I say I'm a Libertarian. Because like when it comes to abortion, I'm not completely, up to 9 months. That's ridiculous. I give people to 3 months, and then after that, it has to be medical. It has to be, your life is in danger, something like that. When it comes to, like I'm pro-gay marriage, I'm pro-legalization of marijuana, which is something that the Republicans are for, and I am. I think it would, if we did that, we treat it like alcohol, tax it, regulate it. Guess what? Now we got a bunch of extra tax revenue. I mean, Colorado showed it. That's why other states are starting to follow. And then that makes me, that's why I say I identify more as a Libertarian than I do as a Republican or a Democrat. The Democrat Party has gone way too far left for me. I mean, like I said, openly embracing socialism, and I'm not with it. I've never experienced it, but I got Cuban friends, I got Venezuelan friends, and they, I've heard horror stories, and I don't want that for my children. So I just wanted to, I've been wanting to address that. I had that conversation like a week or so ago, but it's been there in my head, and I've been wanting to address it because that just, one of the quotes that my friend said was about, once he's like, conservative ideas have its place, but only after we do everything we want to do. And I'm like, no. I mean, what we need is balance. I'm not saying we need to go, everybody needs to be libertarian and everybody needs to be Republican. The problem when you have states like California and New York that have these super democratic majorities is the fact that there's no give and take. That's why you see their budgets and people leaving because they propose the businesses leaving because they're proposing these ridiculous laws. There's no pullback and pushback to go, no, wait a minute. We need to think, let's get the different perspective. No, it's a super majority, so they basically push through whatever crazy ideas they have. There's no one to rein it in and bring it to the middle. So that's what's going on right now. You got you get the cities pushing the country to the left, and the rural areas wanting to just stay the same. So, well, I'm gonna leave it there because the longer I ramble on, the longer it takes to upload these videos, and I got kids I gotta take care of upstairs. So, I hope you enjoyed this content today. Feel free to leave comments. Let me know what you think of the subject. Well, and with that being said, have a good one.